So, Aaron.
You're the man. You're the cameraman.
Everybody inside. Come on forward. Can everybody quiet down? Everybody come on up. Take one step forward, and another step forward, and another step forward. Come on up.
But not right here.
But not right here. This can be Aaron's fault. Okay.
Is he recording?
How long is this going to take? 20 minutes?
15 minutes.
15.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you guys. 15 minutes of your time is critically important for you to understand what's happening here. This is about first aid services on your jobs. If there's an injury on your job, what to do. We are changing and have changed the Everest procedures and policies for when there's an injury on your job. You no longer call or go to Concentra. You're going to call on-site first aid services, first call. Before you even call the office, you're going to call them. And you're going to talk to them, and you're going to tell them what your injuries are. And Kelly here from OnSite, the same company that did all of our awareness training for lead, asbestos, heat illness, the respirator fit test, the blood draws, it's the same company. They are now taking over our first aid services. Any injury on the job, like a cut, anything except for a life-threatening injury. If the guy falls 15 feet and he's sitting there bleeding on the ground, you call 911. Everything else, call these guys first. There's an 800 number. We're going to have handouts for you. Did you bring any handouts with you today? Huh? Yeah, so we'll get those soon so we can hand them out. And you guys will all have cards with their number to call, and they're the first call you make. Kelly's going to take 15 or 20 minutes this morning and step by step go over exactly what they do and how they do it and how their first aid vans are all over San Francisco and the Bay Area, just minutes away from your job site. So when you call them, you call into their main office, they dispatch one of these vans directly to you. That operator inside the van, the first aid, the paramedic, will treat your guys or you, and then they will create a report and they'll send it to the office. The first call you're going to make is to them, no longer Concentra. So this is Kelly from OnSite. She's going to take you through. I need everybody to understand what's happening here today, okay? All right. Okay.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good. My name is Kelly. I'm with OnSite Health and Safety. We are a mobile first aid. Basically, we're like, you can kind of look at it as like we're a clinic that comes to you. Okay, we have vans all over the Bay Area. You can see our coverage area. We're pretty stacked over here in San Francisco and everywhere else. So as soon as we get the call, we come. Sometimes we have scheduled appointments like we did your guys' training and stuff like that. If there's an injury, we'll go to the injury first and then come back to the scheduled appointment, obviously because we don't want to leave you guys out there bleeding or whatever may be. So we basically cover all of California. We're also in Arizona. We are in Las Vegas, and hopefully next year we will be in Seattle. So we are a growing company. We've been doing this for about 20 years. So we got pretty good experience in what we do. You guys all know what a life-threatening injury is? Okay, good. So the times that you guys should call 911 is going to be if you have somebody who loses consciousness, if they have a possible spinal injury, so they fall from a significant height. I like to explain this one a little bit better though, because a significant height is 6 feet. I'm 5'1". If I fall 5 feet, that's pretty significant, right? Because I'm short. Or if you have a guy walking or something and they trip and they hit their head on the table where they could possibly injure their neck, you're going to call 911. Doesn't necessarily have to be a fall from really high up, okay? And when you come across this person that has fallen down, you want to make sure that you don't move them, okay? You just call 911 right away. Anytime you have airway breathing and circulation problems, so let's say you have somebody has a laceration and maybe it's squirting or something, you can't stop the bleeding. Usually you can stop it within a couple of minutes. In those cases, you're going to call 911. If you have somebody who has serious burns to the eyes or the face, or I also like to say the personal area, in those cases you also want to call 911, because especially when it's in your neck and your breathing area and your face, okay? Any other large burns, so we're talking about burns that are half your body, okay? I did respond to an injury of a guy who worked for a catering company, and he had a fryer splash all over him. He was burnt from the top of his arm all the way down. You would think that's pretty large, but that's not in a significant area, so we came out and treated that. Okay, so we're talking about anything that's covering half your body or in your face, okay, anywhere that you breathe or in your eyes or those personal areas. And then obvious long bone fractures. And the reason why is because we have arteries that run down our arms. We have arteries that run down our legs. So if you have somebody who you know broken leg or an arm, you need to call 911, because that bone could be in there chopping up the artery, okay? So you want to make sure for those cases you call 911. Everything else you can call us, okay? Abrasions, lacerations, hematomas, avulsions, burns, foreign bodies in the eye, neck or back pain where you know it's not from a significant height, they just maybe moved the wrong way or something. Extremity injuries, heat illness, or unknown illness. I've even responded to a guy who was on a man lift about 10 stories up. It dropped several floors before the brakes kicked on. He was having a lot of anxiety. I was 5 minutes away. I got over there, we talked, and everything turned out okay. So all he needed was somebody to talk to him. So you guys could call us, and if you're unsure, always call us first, because what happens when you call, okay, you call first service, you have a guy who's injured, something's going on, you get one of our dispatchers. Our dispatchers will triage the situation. So let's say, what's going on? What happened? Sometimes they might even ask for a picture if it's a laceration. Text me a picture, something like that. While they're talking to you, they'll tell you whether A, they need to go to the hospital, or B, we're coming out. Most of the time, we're coming out. There's certain situations where we might say you need to take them to the hospital or call 911. Okay, but you can call us, and they are trained, and they will help you decide when they need to go for further attention. Okay? Once they're talking to you, and while they're talking to you, they're usually dispatching one of us, a technician. Okay? So we're already on our way. We come out to your job site wherever you're at. Sometimes if you guys are in the city, it's hard to find parking. So if you have spaces available, you know, make sure they're ready, coned off or whatever. Because usually our tech will call and we'll say, hey, we're 5 minutes away. Do you have any parking? And you guys can get us right into parking. So that helps us a lot too, because sometimes I drive around the block. You guys know the city, right? Drive around, and I want to get there as fast as I can. So we show up to your site. We do the first aid right there. There's a few situations where we might come out, we do the first aid, and we think, you know, we do it, and we say, you know what, this guy's got to go in. So then we will tell you, because we're seeing them physically, they got to go in. It doesn't happen very often. Only 10 to 12% of people really need to go into the doctor, okay, when they're non-life-threatening situations. I did have another one of our techs came, a guy fell, he fell between two pipes. He got there, he did his assessment, he said he was feeling fine, but once he did his assessment, he found something abnormal, so he said, hey, you need to go in, and that guy had emergency surgery that night. He had internal bleeding. So we're trained, we know what we're doing, we come out. All of us on staff are EMT, paramedics, or nurses. We can't, you know, come out and say that that's what we are, but that's what we are, because we're not working for an ambulance company, you know, California rules or whatever. But anyways, we come out, we're all trained, so we know what we're doing. We make a report after that, after we treat the first aid. We make a report, and we follow up with a phone call. At that point, you can say, hey, my guy's better, or B, can you come out and check him out one more time? And we will come out and check him out. Okay, so this is kind of what we do. We do it every day, hundreds of calls all the time. All right, we are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, so we are always there for you guys around the clock. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. So what are you going to call for? Pretty much everything, right? Unless you guys know and they need to call 911. Because we don't transport anybody. We just come to you, we treat them, and that's it. Go ahead.
Just ask them what the first thing they do when there's an accident.
So what's the first thing that you do when there's an accident?
Call where?
Small injury, call you guys, otherwise call 911.
Yes, if it's life-threatening, call 911, but if it's not, which most of them won't be, you're going to call me. Well, not me personally, but OnSite Health and Safety, okay? There's a 1-800 number. It's 1-866-998-2750, but we'll get you flyers and stickers. You guys all wear hard hats? I'll get you a bunch of stickers. You put it inside your hard hat, okay? Don't put it on the outside because they fake. Put it in the inside. It has their number right on it.
So they've been doing this for 20 years. 90% of the injuries that they go to respond can be treated by them right then and there. Okay, 90%. So you do not, don't, unless it's a life-threatening injury where they've fallen and they're bleeding all over the ground, you call them first. And they will work with you, and if they determine that it needs an ambulance or something, they will call it for you and they'll take care of it. But call them first, unless it's a serious, serious accident that requires immediate ambulance.
Also, just to let you guys know, we try to get to all the injuries within an hour. Like I said, we don't drive an ambulance, so we have to follow all the traffic rules. Sometimes traffic's bad, there's accidents, whatever. But we are pretty good at that. We get to all the calls. Usually about 92% of the time, we're there within the hour. Unless we have one of those crazy days. We did have a day where we had probably about 40 injuries come in 3 hours time, so that was a little crazy that day. But most of the time, we're going to get there pretty fast. So, just keep in touch with our dispatch, and if we're going to be a little bit longer, we'll let you know. But we also tell you how to take care of that guy until we get there. So we'll say, hey, put ice on her, or elevate it, or put pressure on her, depending on what the injury is.
Yeah. Good.
All right, so hang tight for a minute. I'm going to go out and get some flyers for you guys, some stickers, and if you got anything else.
Done?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to show some of the injuries that you treat.
All right, let me show you some of those. Just give you guys some examples. Start
Let's
here.
go through them in detail.
So this guy got a little laceration on his eyelid. Okay, pretty bad, right? That's an area that moves around a lot. Basically, we came out, we cleaned it. Okay, we put a little steri strip on there, and as you see, he held up nice. Okay, like nothing ever happened. We do a lot of lacerations. We see those a lot. Here's an example of a wrist laceration. So, most people would say, oh man, they need stitches, they need to go to the hospital for that. Most of the time, you don't need to. Okay? Especially if you stop the bleeding. Now, if the bleeding's not stopping, then that's a different story. But this guy, we were able to stop the bleeding. Came out, cleaned it really good, patched him up. The last picture over here shows 2 steri strips. We put more than that, but we want you to see, that we're closing up the wound. Okay, here's some more examples you got. You got some leg lacerations, hand laceration. They're pretty deep, okay? But we can handle that. That's kind of what we do. It's our specialty, just like you guys have your specialty, waterproofing, right? You got lacerations here. Good thing the guy missed his tattoo, right? So we closed that up, cleaned it real good. So these are just some examples. We'll treat ankle injuries, wrist injuries, back injuries, neck injuries that aren't, big neck injuries, okay, just soreness. All kinds of stuff. Lacerations, you name it. We'll treat it. We even treat for ticks, poison oak, all those random ones, anxiety, anything like that, okay? You got anything?
Is that all the photos you have?
Yeah,
Okay.
in there.
Okay, so we're going to take just a 1-minute break. Kelly's going to go to her truck and get some flyers. There's a sign-in sheet out here. Who has it, and has everybody signed it? Everybody needs to sign it, otherwise you...
Clipboards.
If you don't sign it, that means you weren't here.
There should be another one. Okay, good.
Dude, I'm gonna have Ron put these on all the grinders and all that shit. Everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, we need more of those. Yeah. So, who's got questions about this?
I have one.
Yeah.
Are they bilingual?
I'm sorry.
They bilingual, it's only English because you know a lot of guys here.
Yes, their dispatchers are
Yeah.
bilingual,
Okay.
yes.
I have
I
one
doubt they
question.
speak Nepali. I don't think they do. The reason I'm recording this morning is that we will actually have somebody translate this for, right, Seth? We'll figure out a way to have this, the transcript translated, and we'll put it at the bottom of the screen or give you a sheet. The people that can't understand this, because it moved pretty fast. But basically, again, the bottom line is you no longer call Concentra. If there's an accident on your job and somebody's injured, the first phone call you make is this 800 number. The second phone call you make is to the office. Okay? And the reason for this is the amount of time that it takes you to put somebody in your car and drive them to Concentra, wherever you are in the city, could take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, right? And then you sit there and wait, right? And then they start their process. An hour and a half, 2 hours can go by before the guy gets any treatment. These guys will be there within 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most to your job and immediately give you service. So it's much better service for you guys. Much better service. So there's got to be some more questions. I know this is a brand new thing. You guys have to have questions. I'm going to start calling people. Alfred?
I have no questions. I mean, if the guy's not dying, then we call them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yogendra? Any questions? No? I'm going to keep calling names. Somebody's got to have a question. Paul Czar.
How about in case, metal chips went inside the eyes, how they treat?
Eye injury.
Eye injuries.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You call them first. That's a perfect question, okay?
Yeah.
Because you would think, oh my God, it has to be a hospital, they have to do this and that. You call the first phone call you make. This is a question about an eye injury. What happens if the guy gets some metal in his eye, grinding, or dust in his eye, right? You call these guys first. They're trained, they're paramedics. They're trained the same training that the people have when you take them into the emergency, the same training. But you're going to get response faster by calling these guys, okay? But if you make the phone call, their professional, their dispatcher will talk to you and find out more about the injury. And if they determine that it's something that they can't handle, then you have to go to the emergency room. So it's either on-site safety comes to you for first aid on all this type of stuff, or you go to the emergency room, right? So ask yourself, is this something that really needs the emergency room? Okay? So I want to make sure you guys understand this as well. They've been doing this for 20 years. 90% of the calls that they go to are treated by them without any emergency services. 90% of the construction calls. All of our competitors use this service. All of the major general contractors around us use this service. All of the big job sites you see, they all use this service. 90% of the calls are treated without going to the emergency room. Okay? So this is the first call you make. Does anybody know what happened?
This 1-800 number, they will let you know whether you have to go to the emergency room or not.
That's right.
You don't need to decide whether you want to go or not.
Yeah.
They will tell you.
Yeah. Seth, can you check on Kelly? Just went out to get some papers. Okay.
And it's not for everything. It's like, I'm of age now, and if you see me laying on the ground and I'm not answering, call 911. I mean, that happened to me in San Jose, where the guy was laying on the ground. His eyes were open, but he wasn't responding. You call 911.
Yeah, I don't think that's a first aid thing. That's an
Yeah.
emergency thing.
Exactly. I want to make sure these guys
You didn't have
know.
any Band-Aids with you? Yeah.
I breathed on them.
I remember that.
Jimmy, you got any questions? Jimmy,
You guys.
any questions? No? Who's the last guy here to have an injury on their job? Oh, come on. We've had a lot of small injuries this year. Raise your hand if you've been injured on the job this year. Okay. Tell me about your injury.
I smashed my fingers.
You smashed your fingers.
Yeah.
Okay. Kelly, describe it to Kelly exactly.
I smashed my fingers with two heavy metal plates.
Did you have a laceration on your finger?
Kelly?
Yes.
So, would you come out and treat it?
Of course,
Okay.
we would treat.
So that you would call them. Who else? Who else raised their hand? Injuries this year. Go ahead, Joel.
I just get pain in my back because I was lifting the bin.
Okay.
We would come out and treat that and tell you how to take care of it, both of you guys. For
Back injuries are a big part of what they do. Kelly, maybe you could expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
Kelly, can you get back over here and talk too, so we get you on camera?
Okay, so back injuries, we deal with back injuries, and basically with back injuries, they take time, okay, to heal up. So we're gonna come out, we're gonna tell you how to take care of those. We're gonna give you some, what I call miracle gel. It's like awesome. Put that on there, treat it with some ice, some ibuprofen, okay, and then we kind of just wait till the swelling goes down, see how it goes. And most of the time, 90% of the time, if you do the steps that we tell you to do, it's gonna be fine. You know, and then we can always come out if we're still having issues from there. But we do treat back injuries. We see those a lot. You know, a lot of times people just, you know, lift wrong or do something like that. So we'll treat that a lot.
That's one of the injuries that might require some follow-up. Can you talk about the follow-up that you guys do?
So yeah, so we call up a couple days later, see how you're doing. If you're still having issues and stuff like that, then we will come out again. There's been times where we've come out 4 or 5 times until that person is 100% ready to go. So we always follow through. We kind of call you guys, let us know what's going on from that point, and then we go from there. So
Talk about the instructions that you give them on how to treat themselves.
Okay, so for every injury that we come out on, whether it's a smashed finger or a back injury, we're going to give you a set of instructions. It's all the steps on how to take care of it, what to do when you get home. For somebody who has a laceration, we even give you some supplies to take home. So we'll give you whatever you need. Cleaning, iodine, ointment, anything like that to take home with you. But every type of injury has a set of instructions. We go over it with you. We also give you something that you take home in case you forget. And that's how if you follow those and you're aggressively following those steps, you'll heal up. Okay?
So you follow up with that and then talk about the doctors that actually review the cases and then send the report into the office.
Okay.
Yep.
So when we come out, we always do a report. We have a doctor who oversees everything. He looks at all the reports. And then he signs them off and you're all good. If for some reason something comes up in your report, which never really does, but if it does, he's there, he sees it, he'll call you or contact you in any circumstance if he has more questions or anything for you.
So every call is eventually reviewed by a medical doctor. Okay? That doctor is actually the one, correct, that actually sends the company the report after they cross out any personal information that isn't appropriate for the company to see. But we end up getting a report on everything, and it's done by a doctor. So a doctor reviews all these cases. Okay? It's important for you guys to understand, so you have confidence in the services. This is not just a quick little Band-Aid or whatever. This is a process that's been reviewed and tried and proven over many years.
Is that the treatment that you give on site, like that what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
And then after your treatment, do you advise the injured guy to take a break or take off that day, take rest?
So we basically we can only say that they either return to work or they need to see a doctor. But we will say, hey, you know, obviously this guy has a back injury, so, you know, we got to take it easy on him. Okay, so maybe they'll end up flagging or doing something depending on where you're at. But usually that's something we discuss between the person that's injured, the superintendent, whoever's on charge on site, and us.
So is the question, are you going to get specific instructions from them on whether or not the guy can go back to work right then and there? Is that the question?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's indeed.
Yeah,
Yep.
we will tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. So on-site, just to review this particular question, Numgal asked, does on-site health and safety basically clear the guy to go back to work that day? And yes, they will tell you whether or not the guy can go back to work right then and there, or if he has to go home for whatever reason, or go to an emergency room, okay? They will tell you what to do with the guy for the rest of the day and the next day and the day after. That's why they do their follow-ups.
So that call, when we make a call, is that the injured guy supposed to call or is it the job foreman?
It's usually the foreman. There's going to be a contact, somebody who's overseeing the situation. They'll call us, and that's who we call. We don't call the employee directly. So when the employee is injured, and we're calling for a follow-up, we're going to call that whoever's in charge of that employee. So you got to make sure you're reporting.
Yeah, and I see Seth moving around back there, and I think we want to make sure that the supervisor on the job, whoever's the lead guy on the job, should be in charge of making that phone call.
That's correct.
You're in charge of your crew, just like you're in charge of your crew's hours, your crew's safety, your crew's profitability. That foreman or that leader on the job, it's his responsibility to make that call. You don't tell your guy, oh, you're injured, you call OnSite. All right? You guys, you understand that? Yeah, it seems funny, but we've seen it all here.
A lot of times, we have one or two guys working on site. If there's no foreman, everybody should have that sticker and number.
Yeah.
Handy. In case that there is no foreman, you call themselves. You call them yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
But every worker should have the number handy.
Right. Are you done with most of your stuff? Okay. So, just to review, after any accident on your job, when do you go or call Concentra? Never. We're no longer using them for these services. When do you call OnSite Health and Safety for an accident on your job?
Always.
Always.
Immediately.
Who do you call first when there's an accident on your job? OnSite Health and Safety. You can call Jeannie. Do you think Jeannie has the training that these guys do to tell you exactly what to do? Do you think I do? Do you think Keith does? Aaron, Seth? We don't. That's why these guys are here, to help you make those important decisions. They're the first phone call. Let's take one more injury as an example. We had Joel. Who else? Raise your hand if you've had an injury this year. Everybody.
Okay.
Were you cleaning a building and Sealer got? Okay.
Somebody, he put me in medical, right? He gave me a couple of wires, and I'm pretty comfortable with my eye sometimes.
Okay. You were using a cleaner on a building. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name? Rigo?
Yeah.
Rigoberto was cleaning a building and he got some a restoration cleaner under his glasses in his eyes. Okay. And so, what would you do today, later today, if that same thing happened to you? What would you do? Okay, Rigo said he would call OnSite Health and Safety, and OnSite Health and Safety would say,
We're going to come out. First, we're going to tell you what to do until we get there. We're going to come out and we are going to treat it. So we're going to flush it. We're going to look into it. We have all kinds of stuff for eye injuries. We got these Honey, I Shrunk the Kid glasses. All kinds of... we have numbing solution. We have all kinds of stuff that we're going to treat the eye. We're going to flush the eye. And we're going to ask you, if it is a chemical, we're going to ask you for your SDS. So make sure you have that on hand, okay?
safety data sheet. We're going to get into this in a week or two. MSDS sheets are no longer called MSDS sheets. They're called safety data sheets. It's a universal international rule that's just gone into an effect, so we're going to be changing all that. So it's called safety data sheet. Aaron, did you? Oh, Alfred.
I do. Rico got chemical in his eye, right?
Uh-huh.
We have first aid kits on the job that have eye flush. Do we call you first, or we just immediately
Call us, and we're going to tell you to flush his eye.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a great point. When do you not call because you think you can do it yourself, right? I think that basically we're telling you right now, Seth, that you basically, for any injury other than, you hit your thumbnail with a hammer and blood's coming out, well, you know what? I think you just got to tape that up and deal with it, right? I don't know. But call them on everything. Everything. Okay? It's not expensive to have these guys come out or to call them. It's free to call them, right? Call them and find out. Even if they have to come out and it's like, you know what, all you need is a Band-Aid, that's fine. I'd much rather have that happen than have you say, oh, nothing needs to happen here. And who was the gal's name that came in here before?
I don't remember her name.
Well, anyway, we were told that a lot of times one of the biggest problems is people are too proud to call.